Generation Next. Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. In September of 2015, the Tour of Alberta Pro Cycling Race returns for its third year, bigger and more challenging than ever, as this year's tour includes its first ever mountain stage.
Early on, the first year of the tour, I was invited into the inaugural event in Edmonton, the opening prologue, and I was happy to go because I was enthused just about the event in general. It's a great event for the province. But I could see that there was a real opportunity for Jasper as well. The tour itself wanted to be here, the riders wanted to be here, the viewers from around the world want to see a mountain stage, and we can offer it like no other place in the province, so it's a natural fit.
It's an authentic area. It's devoid of a lot of the commercial trappings that you would find at other purpose-built areas, and people like that about Jasper. They like the fact that we only have one traffic light, and even that we usually don't need. So, you know, people like that atmosphere about Jasper, and I think that's what people are going to discover when the viewers see the thousands of kilometers, the shots from the helicopter with no development in the valleys and just this pure untouched wilderness, and that you can bike in this wilderness, you can ski in this wilderness, you can go rafting, you can do so many things, but in such a clean, pristine environment. There's very few places you can get that on the planet.
Not to be outdone, the remaining stages are filled with an abundance of unpredictable obstacles and challenges, including the event's longest ever stage, which comes complete with a stomach-churning stretch of unpaved highway.
Our community really, when they get behind an event, they get behind events. We have an amazing group of volunteers and staff that are assigned to the project that are getting together to put on a bit of a festival around the event. We're quite excited by that. I'm not sure how much they're going to ride around town because this is the longest leg of the race, and it is what they're touting to be the toughest leg, as there's a quarter of the 200 kilometers they have to ride is on Alberta cobblestone, as they call it, or gravel roads as we like to call them. We'll see how that plays out. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for the racers. It's a long leg. I guess there is one small advantage with the leg is you're going to drop 1,000 feet from Edson to the Edmonton area, so it is a bit of a downhill run, but it's a long downhill run. It should be quite challenging for the racers.
It's going to be probably a race changer if the teams aren't ready for it, if their support teams aren't prepared.
This year's Stage 5 finishes in the city of Spruce Grove, home of two-time Tour of Alberta top Canadian Ryan Anderson, who will be back to race in this year's event, with a hometown finish adding a bit of extra fuel to his competitive fire.
I recently came across a picture of me with a little red tricycle in the driveway, so I think I guess that's when it first started, you know, and it's kind of developed from there. It was mostly mountain biking until 2005. Through mountain biking, I started doing road riding for training for the mountain biking. I started doing a couple local Alberta road races, and I was doing pretty well. It turned out I had like an all right sprint. I could take care of myself all right. So, you know, the rest is, it kind of built history from there. Basically, I was better at road riding than mountain biking. I enjoy mountain biking until this day in the off season I go mountain biking. But for me, it was like I would just get out in the woods and I'd just kind of zone out and forget the race is on, you know, and it's like, oh geez, I'm losing 2 minutes. So basically the road riding, you know, I was around people all the time in the race, and I just took to it and I was pretty good at it. I knew from then I wanted to continue to build the path. You know, when I was like 10 or 15 years old, I had no idea I could, you know, try to make a living at racing my road bike. But here we are today, it turns out I can. I had new goals. I always had a goal, like I would be on this amateur team and then would just like go into the local BC races, and I would just be racing so hard against, like, you know, guys like Swain and others that were on the team, and just try to show them, hey, you know, like this guy's a fighter. So I finally got my shot in 2008 is when I started racing with Symmetric. So that was kind of my first year on a bigger team. I did a couple years on US teams, and I got the opportunity to race with Steve Bauer, which is like a legendary cycling phenomenal racer, and I got to race under him, which was pretty cool. So I jumped at the opportunity. I did 2 years there, and then I've been back with a US team, Optum, powered by Kelly Benefit Strategy. So, you know, that's where I am today, and Tour Alberta is, you know, here racing the Tour Alberta. It's pretty fantastic. I didn't 10 years ago, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Tour of Alberta, Generation Next. Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. Tour of Alberta, Generation Next. Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. With the Tour of Alberta starting to gain international recognition as one of the elite stops on the yearly race calendar, it's also having an effect on the local level as the next generation of young Alberta-based athletes prepare to push themselves to the next level of competition.
My dad was always really involved in triathlons, and we always watched the Tour de France, and it just kind of happened that, you know, maybe I'd be good at cycling. So I found Juventus, and it's been going really well. I was, I guess, stronger than the other kids because I was a bit older than them, so I went into like the older program, and then after last year's track provincials, I won them. So then they were like, you know, you can go to nationals. And then I was like, I've never been to a national competition before. Let's just take this seriously. When I performed well at the nationals, I was like, let's just go all in and let's just see how far this can go. It was really difficult. Like, I'd never done anything like that before. When you push yourself, you learn a lot about yourself and, you know, what you're really made of and what you're capable of. And you can definitely surprise yourself, but there are some days that you just kind of want to cry, but you make it through and it's worth it in the end. We have track nationals coming up again, and I have some big goals for that, and I think that they are achievable, so I'm really excited to go there.
I started mountain biking with my dad when I was pretty young, and yeah, he really got me into it. And I found Juventus. I got started in their LAMP program, and the LAMP program introduces you to track racing, then road racing, and then mountain bike racing as well. I really enjoyed the track. It was super cool, so I stuck with it. I think in the last 2 years, I've been taking racing pretty seriously. Training is pretty much 2 rest days, and even on the rest days, we go for like a little 1-hour ride. Usually 2 times a week, there's a double day as well. So training it definitely consumes the greater portion of my week. And then, yeah, obviously with nutrition, you have to eat right too. It plays a big difference. I pretty much live at the velodrome now. The community here is great. A lot of people support you and they're all rooting for you, and it's really good.
I started riding when I was 13 with the Lorianne Munzer program with the cycling club here. Also, my family didn't own a car until quite recently, so bicycle commuting was like our main way to get around the city. I started taking it seriously right away and was like, this is something I want to pursue. And right when I was getting into it, the women's team pursuit, they podiumed at the London Olympics. And it was really inspiring as a young kid. In terms of discipline, it kind of like takes over your whole life and you don't really realize it. And it's like way more than you would expect. Like, it's not just time on the bike, but it's like visualization off the bike to help your mental practice and what you're eating and how much, and sleep, and like not socializing with friends because you have to get ready for a competition. Like, it just kind of like runs the show, but that's okay because it's a lot of fun.
Pushing aside any notion of sibling rivalry, the Burtnick brothers, Evan and Mason, are starting to get noticed in the cycling community as they train, motivate, and inspire each other to new heights.
I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform, and like my life is so, at this point I'm so deep into cycling, like it's most of what I do. So I mean, like, to not do it is like, I just can't not do it, right? If I were to quit now, if I were to stop cycling, I don't know what I'd do with my, I don't know what I'd do. I don't really want to go back to school. Yeah. I want to do this.
One of the things with cycling is, especially when you're racing, you can't really just do it halfway. Like, you can't really just do a little bit of training. All the guys that are not taking it easy and they're training hard, they're just gonna beat you, and it's not really fun. So the fun kind of comes from all the hard work in the background.
early on I realized I wasn't going to make it to the NHL.
Yeah, I'm not going to make the show.
And then we did wrestling all of junior high and 1 year of high school. And honestly, I didn't nearly enjoy it as much as cycling. I can push myself way harder in cycling.
Will any of these young athletes someday find themselves competing in the Tour of Alberta? Well, we certainly wouldn't count any of them out.
There's a few events in Europe that I've really I've had some success. You know, they're not wins, they're not podiums, but you know, I've gone top 10 in some pretty prestigious races. I've raced a lot more in North America the last 2 years. With the Tour of Alberta, I've had great success. Last year, you know, I had 2 podiums, 5th overall. I was only 2 seconds off the overall podium. Those are all special moments to me. They let me know personally, I'm like, oh, you know, I can do this. I belong racing here. I'm good enough to do it. Be racing at the world's best.
Tour of Alberta, Generation Next. Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. Tour of Alberta, Generation Next. Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. Now that international audiences have had a taste of what the Tour of Alberta has to offer, organizers get set to add some extra dazzle to the 2015 tour, taking audiences and cyclists to some of the most beautiful parts of the province. It all starts in the stunning vistas of Grande Prairie.
The opportunity for us here is not just tourism, you know, although we are anticipating some people coming from around the province and around the world to come to the event. But for us, it's about communicating what Grande Prairie has to offer, start demystifying the north and what people's perceptions are of a northern community like Grande Prairie. We're not that much different than anyone else.
On a more micro level, there's also that added benefit of being able to inspire our local residents. When you can bring the best in the world to your community, that's an opportunity that you absolutely can't pass up. Team time trial is very, very unique, and it's going to offer a great opportunity in an urban setting to get a close-up look at the riders in a really fast-paced setting that's more akin to a Formula One race.
With the opening of the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum, the County of Grande Prairie thought this was an excellent opportunity to maybe broaden the minds of the people of the world and closer to what Northern Alberta and specifically the County of Grande Prairie and the City of Grande Prairie have to offer. We're going to be able to put on a huge festival to the people that are coming from the world.
It's been a real team effort with the communities in the area, not just the county, obviously the city, but MD of Greenview's been involved, Town of Wembley, Town of Beaver Lodge. We're standing in the Philip J. Currie Dinosaur Museum, a huge project that's taken us 2 or 3 years to actually build. It's been about 10 years in the making. Alberta has a rich dinosaur history and we'd like people to come and see it and stay a while.
Traveling through one of the province's most spectacular hidden gems, Grand Cache, and into the rocky mountain beauty of Jasper National Park. Worldwide audiences will be treated to some of the most breathtaking scenery ever seen in the tour's history.
We're very proud of our inheritance here, and again, this is the reason for seizing the opportunity with Tour of Alberta to showcase our area, our community, and hopefully attract some people to come here and visit.
It will do it through a venue that is so active, and we are about outdoor activity and venture beyond. We encourage people to break away from the daily norm, get out and really enjoy themselves by trying something maybe a little bit different, a little bit beyond their comfort level, and we offer all of that.
From the highway, it's about 14 kilometers. So it's 14 kilometers of solid climbing. It'll be a real challenge for the riders. I know it's a big challenge for myself. I've ridden up here many, many times, as have many of the locals. And so it'll be really fun and interesting to see the pro riders and how fast they come up here compared to some of the faster local riders.
They're going to be working hard on those bicycles, and for all the visitors that we've had drive their own vehicles up here every winter for a ski trip, they know how their vehicle is working getting up that hill. They know that the engine's hot when it gets here.
And after overwhelmingly positive notices in year 2, this year's race will once again culminate in a thrilling Stage 6 circuit race through the streets of downtown Edmonton.
I've already seen last year inspire a group of people who hadn't been serious about cycling before to go out, buy new bikes and get serious about training or just being outside and getting more physical activity. It's a wonderful legacy of these events to have people inspired to get out and get active. The value of being on TV across Canada and around the world helps change perceptions about Alberta. Those skyline shots are amazing, and so it is hard to quantify the impact of that, but there's no doubt that that's going to capture people's imagination, and next time they're thinking about maybe taking a cycling vacation, whether it's from elsewhere in Canada or from somewhere on another continent, then maybe they'll think about coming to Alberta. So it's really hard to quantify cause and effect there. It's better to try something and try to introduce ourselves to new markets in the world than just sit and expect people to show up. Alberta's got everything from the stunning Rocky Mountains to wide open prairie to the Badlands to the forests in the north, and so if you want to see just about any kind of terrain and wildlife and great national parks, this is a wonderful place to do it.
Tour of Alberta, Generation Next. Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better. Tour of Alberta, Generation Next. Brought to you by Alberta's Chiropractors. Feel better, move better, live better.
The legacies of these events are not only the reputation enhancement and the activation of your citizens who continue to volunteer for festival after festival, international sporting event after international sporting event, but increasingly an inspired group of young people and really people of all ages who want to engage in fitness themselves. And so that's why we keep doing it, because it's absolutely in our interest from a wellness point of view, from a tourism point of view, and from a community engagement point of view.
While the Tour of Alberta continues to showcase some of the most beautiful sights and sounds of the province, a sport like this is nothing without its athlete, present and future. And it appears the sport is in very good hands indeed.
My biggest goal for the Nationals is the 500 time trial. So that's one that I've seen in the past a lot of people, whether they're sprinter or enduro in Canada, have not been really strong at in the juniors for a while. I definitely want to be getting to Junior Worlds next year. I think that's a really big goal for me, and I would be very happy if that could happen. After that, you know, some elite competitions like Pan Ams or the Olympics at some point would definitely be something that I would want to be part of.
This past year in February, I was lucky enough to go to the Cyclocross World Championships in Czech Republic with the Team Canada. On Saturday, we leave for the Junior Track Worlds, and then we have a 2-week training camp in Holland in Alkmaar, and then we will fly out to Astana, Kazakhstan for competition. The ultimate goal is the Olympics. As for working towards that, definitely getting on the elite sprint training program.
Right now, I've been training for the Junior World Championships, and this is my last year as a junior, so next year I'll be moving up to like the elite level. Competitions that I'd like to be aiming for are the Development Elite World Cups, and they have a next-gen development program for women's track cycling now, and that's definitely one of the boxes I'd like to tick on my goal sheet. Aside from competition and competing with the national team, I think one of the biggest parts of cycling is giving back to the community. It's helped me so much to kind of grow as a person, not just on your bike. Even when I started cycling, there was all these role models around me, and so that's definitely something that I would like to be for other kids. Coaching is actually one of the careers that I've been looking at down the road. You don't know how much you help other people's lives, but if you can try, who knows where that'll get you.
In August, I'm going to the Junior Track World Championships in Astana, Kazakhstan. Main goal is the team pursuit, so that's 4K with 4 riders. And then probably the individual pursuit or the Omnium. Hopefully to crack the Canada World Cup team for the Elite World Cups this season and Tokyo 2020.
2 days from now, I'm leaving to Nations Cup in Val d'Or, Quebec. It's called the Tour of Alberta. It's like the premier junior stage race in North America. So that's just one part of the trials and selections for the Road World Championship team. Hoping to do good at Abitibi and then go off to Belgium for 3 weeks for some more racing and training. Next year, get on a bigger team, like Tier 3 professional teams, and then kind of just building there until hopefully around like 24, 25, get on the world tour, top tier professional teams.
I can't think of anything else I'd rather do with my life, because riding a bike is so fun and it gives you so many opportunities that you wouldn't find anywhere else. Like, I've traveled all across the country. If I can help other younger kids go there and kind of develop their love for something, I think that's a great thing to do.
I know that I definitely can't do it by myself. Like, the support of everyone is definitely what keeps you going. But yeah, I think I can, and it's not going to be easy. But I mean, all the people who are Olympians were just regular people at some point, right? So if they can, why can't I?